We're live. What's up? Hey, it's Keith Kelfis. I want to share with you some powerful things that I'm learning and that I've learned in how to grow your service business, whether you do landscaping, window cleaning, pressure washing, whatever you do. I started my business many years ago out of the back of my wife's car, and we had an eviction notice on our apartment. I had no idea what to do. All I know is knew was I needed money, and we lived in a one-bedroom apartment. And since then, I've grown two six-figure businesses, and I have like 14 people working for me now, and my whole life has changed. And it didn't come without a ton of frustration. I'm just holding my phone to make sure we're live here. And I want to share with you some powerful tips that I've learned. And I like the NLP model, neuro-linguistic programming. And if you're a kinesthetic type of person where things have to feel right to you before you get them, like somebody could be talking to you, but it doesn't make sense. But once it feels right, it makes sense. You're speaking my language. Here we are. How to grow your service business. We have a little bit of an echo, but that's fine. So, and also, I'm going to be sharing and teaching a bunch of cool stuff. Let's have some fun. We're live on 8 different platforms. And also, it's Black Friday, so I have a special offer for you. 60% off my entire suite of online courses, plus some special bonus offers. KeithKelfis.com. So at any time, if you want to go there and check this out, I promise you won't regret it. And really quick, I'll tell you what you get right now, and then I'll talk about it again later. But you get all of my online courses: how to start a landscape business, high profit landscape secrets, my window cleaning blueprint course, my business money basic course that teaches you how to manage and organize your finances, how to read profit and loss statements, how to the 20% rule, the 30% rule, the 50% rule, all these math models that are super, super simple that changed my whole life. Like, people think I'm crazy because I have 14 bank accounts. It's because I wanted to be super, super organized with money, because you want to be successful. And it's like, I learned all this crazy stuff and I just teach it in this course called Business Money Basics. I have a course called Social Media Explosion that teaches you, like, we've got 60 million views online, 6 different YouTube channels, and we have a team of automated virtual assistants that help do all this stuff, and things that are in automation that not only proliferate and produce content online and syndicate it online, but mostly completely automated, and it makes me money. So this is totally awesome stuff that I teach. Also, I'll be teaching about how to legitimately hire employees. I can't give you any legal advice, but in this course, I actually show and talk about the 40 documents that you need to have employees sign before you can put them on payroll and give them a check. The legal side of it, of stuff that's worked for me in my business. I'll be sharing all this stuff inside of this Black Friday special at KeithKelfis.com. Go there, you'll see it. It's called the Entrepreneur Bundle. Just click the link and sign up. I'll see you on the inside. Now let's get started. Hope you guys are all doing great. Okay, I want to start out by telling this story. 2017, I fly to Arizona to the High Performance Academy, this live event by a guy named Brendan Burchard. And I went with my friend DJ Carroll. And now DJ is a great friend of mine. He's a serial entrepreneur, owns several businesses, and has been way farther along than me on the journey of entrepreneurship for much longer than me. The guy's, he's brilliant. So as we're walking down the street at our lunch break, and my whole arm is sore from taking copious pages of notes at this live event, and I'm walking with my planner in my hand, and we're walking down the street. I was like, tell me, DJ, how have you grown your business at such a young age to being so successful? Like, who does all the work in your business? You do all this work. He has a pressure washing, window cleaning business and like a Facebook ads agency. He's like, what do you mean, who does all the work? My technicians do all the work. I'm like, but are they employees or are they W-2? Like, subcontractors. He's like, well, we have both. I'm like, yeah, but how is it legal and legit? Do you have all the right insurances? He's like, yeah, my insurance agent. I'm like, yeah, but how did you get the paperwork for them to, like, so it's all super legit? He's like, well, I talked to my attorney. I just talked to him Wednesday, and he had me, I paid him, and we drafted all these documents that were proprietary to my business. I said, okay, that's insane. But then to feed these employees and do all these things and all the sales and marketing, who answers all the phone calls and helps you basically do the billing and the invoicing and accounts receivable and who manages the CRM. Like, you have time to do all this? He's like, no, my office manager does all that. I was like, you're an office manager? And then I was like, well, at the time he was doing, I think, most or all the sales, and he had moved himself to the point where he was just doing the sales and marketing, and then he had his businesses running and all these people helping him. I was like, yeah, but how do you, and I started asking these questions to other people, how do you make enough money to pay these employees? Well, he's like, well, we offer package deals. We don't do just one thing. We offer them multiple services when we go to their property, and we actually proactively pitch them proposals and stuff that could be done. I'm like, oh, so that's how you increase your average ticket? Yeah, but what if you run short on work and you don't have the phone ringing enough? He's like, what are you talking about? We do marketing and advertising. I'm like, but what's the difference between marketing and advertising, right? And advertising is where you actually spend money and you run like Facebook ads, or you can do Instagram or LinkedIn ads, Google pay-per-click, or YouTube ads. It's all different types of ways, or newspaper. There's many ways that you can spend money, but what percentage should you spend on marketing and advertising? So these questions are like, to make you pull your hair out when you're the guy or the girl who's out there actually mowing the lawn and digging with the shovel and installing the plants or pressure washing the house or doing the concrete. When you're the one doing everything, and then you have to take off that hat and put on the hat and then take out your phone and invoice the customer and knock on the door and collect the check and ask for the 5-star review. How do you do all that? How do you even get the 5-star reviews when the customers won't do it and you asked them? Then I talked to my buddy Bobby Walker, who's got over 500 positive 5-star reviews in his business, and he taught me this system that he does every single time. That's why it's a system that's got him over 500 positive 5-star reviews. And I was like, I started meeting all these incredibly intelligent entrepreneur-minded people that were doing way, way better than I was, that frankly had been part of and been in multiple businesses that have these abnormal results. So I start attaching myself to these people's knowledge and following them and listening to them. And my ego was in the way, and I was upset, and I just kept wanting to do my things my way. And it was finally when I've been through multiple depressions in my business and banging my head against a wall and pacing around the house in front of my wife, feeling like a loser, that I finally let my guard down and just started listening to people. And although I have a long way to go, I have so much gratitude for the things that I've learned that have actually changed my life for real. Some of the stuff that I want to share with you. So you can take notes, take out your phone. You can come back and watch this. I just released an episode on the Untrapped Podcast on Apple, where I talk about this stuff all the time. I'm just so much gratitude. It's like, and I'm going to list off resources. I'll just give you everything. I don't care. There's a book I read by Dan Sullivan called Who Not How. And I just want to say, if there's any resources that I mention or anything that I say that I learned from someone else, I will try my best to give them credit where credit's due. You should always do that, because anything that I think I know, I just learned from other people. But sometimes we want to have these epiphanies on our own. And so if you study like causality, there's gross, subtle, and causal. I won't go too deep into this, but there's a point where instead of giving prescriptions to people, things start to become generative, where you figure them out on your own. You connect these dots in your subconscious mind where you go, oh my God, I finally get it. I finally get it. And the steel door that was blocking you from crossing the chasm, that was blocked forever, all of a sudden one day just opens up and you just walk right through it. And the thing that you say you've always wanted or that you suffered and tried to get, you finally get it. But the weird thing is, when you finally get it, it's like you don't care anymore. There's a saying I love: you'll have all those things when those things no longer matter. So it's kind of bittersweet. But there's a book by Dan Sullivan you can get on audible.com. And I've listened to like 470 books now on Audible or something. He's their strategic coach. He talks about, stop asking, how do I do this? Yeah, but how am I going to do that? So imagine if like you have a lawn care business. I see all your comments coming in. I see all your names, and I love and respect and appreciate all you guys. And I see all your comments, and I'd like to get to them a little bit here. So You keep asking, like, let's just say you have a lawn care business and you're cutting the grass and you're blowing and you're picking up a ringing phone and you're dealing with customers and you got family stuff going on. And you hear this amazing thing on a podcast and you go, yeah, but how the hell am I going to do that? And you get frustrated because you're asking the wrong question. And if somebody tells you you're asking the wrong question, then you get even more upset because that's the only question you know how to ask. But there's people who have different results than you do. And they're, like my friend Joshua Latimer says, a lot dumber than you, yet they figure out how to get what they want. So sometimes it's really just the questions we ask ourselves, who, not how. So stop asking, how am I going to do this? And say, who can do this? Or who can do this for me? And who can help me do this? Who are the who's that can help me do this, right? So who, like say you have a dream of starting a podcast. We'll say, who can I hire who has some experience in podcasting that can help me do it all at a price that's within my budget, right? And you can find that person. Like I have a fully automated podcast and a phenomenally talented podcast producer who produces the entire show for me, uploads it across 14 different podcast platforms. And we just crossed like 600,000 views. And I don't know how much the podcast makes me, probably like more than $50,000 a year in revenue. The podcast it makes in revenue. And so how do you make money with a podcast? How is that even possible? And it's like, well, the money sustains the message. Here's another mental model. If you want to grow your landscaping or window cleaning business or your media business, you need to make money because the money allows you to sustain the message and serve more people. And the mindset is, well, don't you want customers who want you to be around next year in a couple of years, in a few years? So if you have a scarcity or limited mindset, I grew up extremely poor and on welfare and slept on couches and lived in 32 different homes. And I know what it's like to be dirt poor. We even lived in a couple like homeless shelters when I was a little kid, right? Like I grew tremendously because of that. I'm very thankful. But it's funny when I talk about those subjects, just it messes up my whole flow. But the reason I talk about it is for you, in case you went through that type of stuff. So to get to the point, everything I'm talking about seems super ethereal, like what? And I would get pissed off when I would hear these things. So here's when it becomes applicable when the rubber meets the road. If you read a book called Tractions, it's by Gino Wickman. He wrote Traction, Rocket Fuel, and Get a Grip. And there's another book called Atomic Habits. Every single one of these books, I could like just list out books for hours. They give you another little puzzle piece that expand your mind. But when your physical body in linear time hasn't gone any more forward, or you haven't gotten any more revenue in your business or new customers, you haven't hired somebody to help take the stress off you, you can get really, really frustrated when you're getting all this really cool information to the point where you get depressed and you're just scrolling through Instagram reels at night and you don't know actually what to do, right? So here's the next question is you stop asking the wrong question of what do I do? And you start asking, who can I be? So earlier I talked about causality and you have gross, subtle, causal. Gross is in the physical, subtle is in the mental, and then causal is in the spiritual. It has to come from a top-down model, like a pyramid. When everything up top in your imagination is in the right place, that is your thoughts and your intentions are aligned properly with your spirit, your soul, and your body, and your priorities line up, then all of a sudden the things that you say you want in your life or you said that you want, they start to align with your integrity. Then you start putting one foot in front of the other and the things just show up. I get nervous even talking about this because I feel like I don't know what I'm talking about, but I wouldn't be saying it if I wasn't seeing this happen. Like I'm waking up to realizing people that are truly holistically successful don't just have money. They have grit. They have something that's intangible. And see, to me, success are people who put God first, then family, then health, then their business and all that stuff. That used to seem impossible to me. All right, let me look at some of your comments real quick. I hope you guys had a phenomenal, happy Thanksgiving. I see all your comments, so you guys are awesome. So every few minutes, I'll go back and I'll talk about this Black Friday sale at keithkalvas.com. You get access to my entire suite of online courses. I think it's like 7 online courses that you get. And I'm adding new content often, especially during the winter. And the Entrepreneur Bundle at keithkalvas.com, it's 60% off. You get all of my online courses, especially this new course I recently created called Business Money Basics, Social Media Explosion. It's like, this stuff is there just invaluable. This is also information that I've paid thousands and thousands of dollars to other people and coaches to learn, that I've deep dived into, that's changed my entire life. And I kind of just give it all away in this special offer. And I'm really happy to do that. There's also another thing that I'm adding. It's called, I have a course in here called the Business Marketing Blueprint online course. And it teaches you how to get your business in the Google 3-pack. So if you weren't trying to grow at all and you're spending about 3% of your gross annual revenue on marketing and advertising, but maybe you wanted to go up to like 7%. Let's say you just did $100,000, you would spend 7,000 of that in marketing. So 6,000 would be 500 a month. 7,000, what's that? I don't know, let's say 53 or 55, $550 a month in marketing and advertising. And if you're trying to grow, you might be at 10 or 15%, 15,000 a year of your gross annual revenue. But when you get in the Google 3-pack, if you're really good at organic marketing, so I've spent tens of thousands of dollars in ads, definitely not hundreds of thousands of dollars, because we're really good at search engine optimization, and our phone rings enough to support my small service business. If you've got a bigger service business and you're trying to get into the $1 million range, you're going to have to spend constant money. I think you should start a whole separate bank account specifically for sales and marketing, and funnel money in there every single week, or at least every month. And then you'll have that budgeted, and you'll have a bookkeeper, and you'll have definitely line items on your profit and loss statement of exactly how much money you're spending on. And then you, at that point, I'm getting into the teaching now, you would want to have, I don't have a Google pay-per-click guy right now that I'm using, but I have a YouTube ads guy and Google pay-per-click. So here's what I'm talking about, who, not how. I'll come back to this. And follow me. I'm opening up these big loops. So if you follow me, I promise you, or I really hope at least you'll have some epiphanies here. So I have a Facebook ads guy, a YouTube ads guy, a podcast producer, graphic designers, multiple videographers that help me, multiple video editors, and employees in the landscape business, people who help answer the phones, and all that stuff. And I was pulling my hair out trying to do all this stuff myself. There's a saying Sam Ovens said. He's a very smart consultant. You can move one thing forward 12 inches per day, or you can move 12 things forward 1 inch per day. If you're trying to do 30 things at once, you literally feel like you're just in the mud going nowhere, and you can have a nervous breakdown because you're only one person. But I think that you have to do, I want to draw a pyramid, but I almost want to draw it upside down. You have to do everything yourself, and then you want to start handing off the lowest priority tasks to other people that are stuff that if they messed it up, it wouldn't be a huge deal. Just like if you're running a landscape business, you can hire someone to weed whip and blow and cut the grass and stuff like that, but you're probably not going to put them in a sales position right away. And if you have a media business, you might not put somebody right away in charge of give them the keys to the kingdom and give them access to your whole YouTube channel and access to your Facebook. Like you want to start people out and get in where you fit in is another thing that I learned. But you want to hire people who know exactly what they're doing and have some experience in that field. And you start off down here, and if you follow Myron Golden, he's another amazing entrepreneur. He talks about this thing called implementation. I'll just put an I here to make it quick. You want to hire out and subcontract out the implementers so you can stay in unification. This is all Myron Golden, not me. And I don't teach his stuff in my courses because that's his stuff, but I'm giving an example to point to because all roads point to north. It's like a compass, right? And you're the unifier, which means you're the manager. So you can manage and delegate to people who are doing all of the implementation. And that way you can focus on that. He also talks about this thing. Go to YouTube, check out Myron Golden. He talks about communication. He's like some of the highest paid people that make all the money. They're communicating and delegating to other people who are doing everything. And when I heard this stuff, I would get really pissed off because I was cutting the grass and raking the leaves and taking care of the customers and literally doing everything. And here's what I said. I said, yes, I understand all this makes sense, but I don't have the money to pay these people. Where does the money come from to pay these people? I raise the prices, I lose the customers. So I raised the prices, and then I was like, well, if I had a multi-million-dollar business and I lived my dream lifestyle, I'd write all this out in pages and pages and pages, copious notes of paper and spreadsheets and checklists. And I would get so angry, I would read more and more and more. It's like, I think it's really a process of letting go more than it is picking up new stuff, because I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. I'm learning. I'm sharing with you right now. But I got fascinated by this stuff and then realized it's like an ice cube tray. I've talked about this multiple times. I had these like weird epiphanies, and I'll just start like, I'll be in the shower and I'm like, oh my God. My wife's like, what's going on? I had an epiphany. So like, I think of an ice cube tray and I think about your capacity. So if you look at God's nature and you look at everything in an abundance, like the birds eat, the squirrels eat, they're constantly, there's food in nature. And then was this St. Francis of Assisi said a bunch of amazing things. Look at the lilies, how they grow. They neither toil nor spin. It's like everything is a Fibonacci sequence. And in nature, it duplicates and replicates itself infinitum. It's spiritual law. Okay. Fascinating. So let me make sure. Yeah, dog. I see you here. So if you look at spiritual law, they're undeniable, irrefutable truths that no matter how many times you bang your head up against a wall or you try to deny them, you're going to lose every time and you'll be stuck in a small paradigm. So if you look at an ice cube tray and you look at capacity, how many cells does an ice cube tray have? Let's just say it has 12. If you let water run into the first one in the sink, you put it in the sink and you let a stream of water, it'll fill up all 12 cells. But once they're full, what does the water do? You start spilling over the top and down the sink. That's the max capacity of that ice cube tray. Or if you put another ice cube tray in there that has 32 or 64, 128 or 256 cells or 512 cells, it will keep going until it fills up all those cells, because water will seek the lowest point and it'll just keep going. So what is your capacity and your mindset, your heart set, and your soul set? If you follow Robin Sharma in his book, The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, he talks about these things, your mindset, heart set, soul set. If you have a scarcity mindset and you grew up really poor like I did, you can't think of this stuff. Your frustration, your negative programming, your micro traumas, these things will actually trigger the amygdala and you're going to this fight or flight mode, and then all these excuses will pop up and they'll just limit and destroy your destiny. So how do you increase your capacity? Well, increase your capacity to learn. You want more, but I think it's in your imagination. Back to Myron Golden. Up here, your ability to imagine will allow all this other stuff to flow into your reality, into a higher level of abundance. Okay. Well, how the hell can you imagine if you're too busy digging the dishes and talking to the phone and you got so much shit going on that you're pulling your hair out? You can't imagine anything because you're in the moment. You're in the trenches. You're a true practitioner, right? So if you look at a pendulum that swings back and forth like this, let's just say, because I don't believe in balance, it's kind of bogus. If the pendulum is over here, and your full swing, let's say the pendulum's over here, just for sake of semantics. The pendulum is over here and you're full swing working 90 hours a week. It's the middle of June or July. I know in my landscape business, I don't even have time to do anything. I'm all about like, let's order pre-made food. Let's have a housekeeper clean our house. There's no time to do anything. The phone's ringing off the hook. But let's just say in February, March, you have all this extra time. I don't know what you do, or I know I do. Can you dive deeper into an imagination and you can increase your capacity? So when the spring comes back, you can make some significant changes. I think that's a huge problem point that I have right there. Let me know in the comments if you had the same thing. Even as I talk about that, I feel resistance inside of me, that pendulum swing. So if you're stuck in fight or flight mode and your amygdala is fired and you're doing everything in your service business and pulling your hair out, and I'm talking about trying to do all these things, you can't, your unification skills go down, your communication skills can go down, and then your imagination goes out completely, and then you're screwed. You go into fight or flight mode. Even as I talk about it, I feel myself going into fight or flight mode. It's triggering me right now. And all of that inspiration that I had 30 seconds ago, I started channeling it, and I started flowing at a higher dimension, and it was captivating me. And I felt like I was moving at a momentum, at a place where I felt like I was in pure spirit. I wasn't even aware of my body. And as soon as I even start talking about it, it drags me down into a lower dimension. Does this make sense? I can feel it right now. I'm just looking through your comments. Okay. I'm really excited that this all came up because I'll be filming an online course this winter and an entire program and curriculum called Know Your Worth. I feel like this is like my magnum opus. I just want to write it right here just so it's locked in. I did this talk in 2019 at the Entrepreneur Academy called Know Your Worth. And I go back and watch it time to time. If you want to listen to it, it's on the Untrapped Podcast. Just type in Know Your Worth, Keith Kalfas. It'll pop up anywhere on Google. And I talk about this speech where I had this billionaire client who would purposely cut me down and chew me down and take advantage of me. And I finally grew a set, and I was getting pep talks from my entrepreneur friends. And I finally learned my worth at that level. And then all of a sudden the client just started paying me what I was worth. And then I learned my worth a little bit more and raised the prices even more. And then the client ultimately just dropped me. And it's funny how a client who's a billionaire who literally has like exotic car collections, I got on the phone with him for a couple of years later, and he was laughing to me on the phone, telling me how he had found new landscapers and window cleaners that did it at even half the price that I did. And it was like a game to him. And it was funny to me. Those type of things will make you, when you get this haptic feedback in your business, it'll make you believe that that's all that exists. So you polarize in your consciousness when you have a negative experience, and some part of it traumatizes you, and your worthiness is connected to all this shit, where you actually believe that that's all that exists. Do you know anybody who ever goes into hysteria and they get upset or paranoid or angry? And in those moments, they have a piece of information that's a partial truth at best. If you put it on a percentage line, they're not seeing any of that. All they're seeing is what they believe in the moment, and it captivates them. It even possesses them, and they believe that's all that exists, and they become hyper polarized to one end or the other. There's a positive and there's a negative, and they go all the way to one end. What I think you can do is, if you were to do like box breathing and a breathing exercise, if you find yourself polarized and you actually back out and you can see it objectified, then you can realize that it's only a partial truth to whatever you're believing. If you believe that your customers won't pay you what you're worth, well, Show me some data that proves that. There might be 5 other customers on that street who are mind blown at how cheap your price is, and they're willing to pay you double or even triple whatever you're charging that cheap client. Do you have enough data, and have you gone out there and put the rubber meeting the road to make it actually happen? So let me see. What's up, Steve DeHunt? Man, you just gave me $5. Thank you. How did you even do that? He said, I spend the winters focusing on where we were deficient and solutions. Now, Steve here, real quick. Steve is a good friend of mine. He's in Michigan. He has a multi-million-dollar landscaping operation, and he's gotten to the point where he's dug the ditches, he's laid the patios, he's done it all. He's paid his dues. And now he's at the point where he's in communication and imagination, and he runs his business from, how can I say this? Well, he has other people running his business, and he's more of like almost like a consultant. He is the innovator in his business, and it's very fascinating. And so I just wanted to say that to raise the necessity. So when I speak and put his comment, I'll post it here. You'll see what he's saying. I spend the winters focusing on where we were deficient and solutions to make us better. So he didn't lay around during the winter watching Netflix. He spent, what does that mean? He invested the time to find out where we were deficient and solutions to make us better. Be a better company for your people and customers every year. Interesting. So he said, be a better company for your people. Your people are your internal customers. Your internal customers are your employees. And for your actual customers every year. So that shows us that he focuses his time and energy on culture, creating a great work environment for his employees. He really cares about them, however he does that, and then making it better for his customers as well. That also shows me that I'm actually inductively extracting from what he's saying that his mindset was not on himself. So he wasn't polarized over here in his mind, however you want to extrapolate this. He wasn't polarized on being selfish and in a scarcity mindset and afraid, right? So how long will it take you to get to the point where you say, that's it? You draw a line in the sand with yourself and you say, that's it. This winter, we're creating those systems. We're creating that sales system. I'm putting together this structure. I'm doing this thing. And you're actually, so here's where the rubber meets the road. You take out your actual calendar. You can use Google Calendar, whatever you want. You can put a big calendar and you actually mark it down. You say, that's it. January 14th. I don't care what happens unless it's an emergency. You have a calendar. This is where the rubber meets the road. You start putting these X's on your calendar. Here's what I really wanted to get into. It's called blocking and tackling. I'm going to go, who are the people? It's called 5 moves. There's 5 moves and 90-day sprints. So what are the 5 moves that I need to make this happen? Who are the who's? Not how do I do it? Because you don't know how to do the thing, or you would have already done it, or at least you're lazy and not taking action. Who are the people that I need to get in contact with, or even pay money to coach and consult me to get this thing together in my business? And how can I do it in less than 90 days? And go put it on your schedule. And then here's the next thing. Not only do you do it, maybe that, one second, I have to, hey, honey. Yeah, I'm live right now on like 8 platforms, so I call you back. I love you back. She was getting her hair did with her mom and her sister. And we were just on the phone a little bit ago, and she's like, "Oh my God, I'm starving." I'm like, "Well, I'm busy going live. Like, let's do Outback. I want a steak. I want the onion blossom. You ever had the onion blossom from Outback Steakhouse? I want mashed potatoes, and I don't have time to go get any of it. So either we'll get a DoorDash, or maybe she could pick up on the way home. But I'm starving." So, what was I saying? Oh yeah. So the next step is not only do you do it like on a Tuesday, but what if you did it every Tuesday? Or every Wednesday became like my friend Brandon Vaughn has this thing called System Saturday. Like my friend Joshua Latimer has this thing where each night of the week he spends undivided time with each of his kids, like Maverick Monday, Tucker Tuesday, date night Saturday. I have every Tuesday night for like 375 date nights in a row. I spend Tuesday night with my wife. We do date night forever. And I do Friday finances. And then I do Monday quotes. I do Wednesday night podcasts. And so when you bake it into this Atomic Habits by James Clear, when you set the bar really low and you start just doing something repetitively, if you read Stuart Wilde in his book, he talks about consciousness and abundance. He goes, force yourself to wake up every single night at 4:12 a.m. He goes, why 4:12? Because it's a specific number that you picked. Doesn't matter. Wake up exactly 4:12 a.m. and go outside barefoot in the middle of the night with the moonlight shining on you in the garden, walk across and go and pick up one rock and place it from here and put it over there. Just move it over 1 foot and then go back to bed. He's like, why would you do that? That's insane. He said, because it's teaching you, your subconscious mind, that you're in control and that your word is law, and you got to do it every single night for 30 nights for no other reason than you said so. So the least amount of control that we have is for ourselves. Here's the next very powerful thing. So start putting things on your calendar that you do consistently and you bake them in. This ties into what I'm going to say next. I was talking to my friend DJ, who has multiple businesses, and I was like, how in the hell can I not get the grip on myself to have the self-discipline that I know that I need to have to do all these things that I say that I want? But in my landscaping business, dude, if I pulled out my calendar and I showed you, look at this, because you probably can't see, you can't see any personal information. But it's like, can you see that? Or you can't. Okay, so my calendar is packed down to the hour for months in advance. Everything is color coded. I mean, my calendar is totally packed all the time, and I'm also kind of proud of it because people thought I was going to be a loser, and I grew up poor, and I was very unorganized, and now I'm pretty organized. DJ said something to me amazing. I said, well, I was pissed off. I was like, how can I be? I'm in such good communication with all these landscaping customers. I let them know when I'm going to be there. If I happen to be late, well, I give them a window. But if I'm going to be late, I call them, and the communication is there, and I'm there on time. And super attentive and intuitive and prompt and punctual with these customers. And communication is everything. It's just you're putting your word on the line to other people that are very busy, and it's just a respectful thing to do. But when it comes to me, why would I let myself off the hook? Why would I walk around eating, a bag of mesquite barbecue chips and not working out and sleeping and doing all those things? He said, because your service business is riddled with deadlines. You have all of these customers who are real people that will kick your ass in one way or another. They might go leave a negative review on Google, but there's going to be, because bad news travels, right? Your reputation, you have so much on the line, and your well-being and your livelihood. So that's the part of you that wants to be accountable for someone else. So you'll run all over the city and wait in traffic and even hold it when you have to use the bathroom to make sure that you take care of all these clients on time. Yet when it comes to yourself, you go in the fridge and you do whatever you do, right? I was like, oh my God, that was a huge thing for me. So I watched this documentary about Steven Spielberg, and people that were with his cast and crew said that he works like he's possessed, almost like Steven Spielberg is a guy who works for Steven Spielberg. So if you read the book Think and Grow Rich and Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill, he talks about developing this alter ego. So if you have this alter ego, that's a you, but it's a positive, angel on your shoulder that's always telling you, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this, and you follow it, and your word is law, and then you develop the self-discipline. I think that's the thing that can take you to the next level in your interior space, because you have your interior space and your exterior space. If you work on that, then it'll start to show up in your life. And let me see here. Yeah, dog. Do I like Esther Hicks? Yeah, I've listened to her on YouTube some, and she says that she has this group of spirits she communicates with called Abraham. But the weird thing to me is I'm trying to use my wisdom and discernment, because the lady says some really profound things, and it's like she's really channeling that stuff, and it's like really high level. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't know. I love Jesus, and I think about like he warned us about that stuff, and I said, what percentage of that is this good, or is it? So I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that yet. Like anybody who says that they're like channeling, communicating with spirits. I don't know yet. You let your discernment speak for yourself, because there's a lot of that stuff on the internet. There was this one. I won't say any names. I love information and online courses, and I just bought a Kindle because I can't go on the internet with it. You can only read books, and it get warm and different light colors. So what I mean is like a yellowish tone, so it doesn't hurt your eyes, and you can and I got a cool case for it, and I'm so excited to just read all these books on Kindle now, because you don't I have books, but then you need like a night light, and then like if your wife's next to you and you like to read at night, then you got this night light that's annoying her if she's trying to sleep. So I have this Kindle. I'm just going to devour books. But anyways, I found this influencer or whatever his messaging was speaking things that I was going through and struggling with in my business. And he was all about wealth and abundance and 10X type stuff. It wasn't Grant Cardone. I love Grant Cardone. Basically, I got into this guy's stuff, and I was about to buy his online course. I think I bought like a lower level online course, and I started to get into it. He was recommending different resources and books and things that he followed. And he recommended something that was strange to me. It was like, I'm like, is this even right? Is this like borderline evil or something? And the weirdest thing was, on the outside, this guy's really successful and polished, and his marketing was really, really awesome, very admirable. He really got his act together. But when I dove deeper into his content, some of the stuff that he was recommending, I checked out this book that he recommended, and I started to read it, and I was like, I don't know about this, man. This just seems like trying some type of casuistry type of stuff, using, and it was like I was like, I was balancing the equities, but something about it to me was like, this is just me. I'm just giving my personal opinion. I don't think that, I don't like to come on and preach to people, but part of me feels like, because I believe it, and this is my live stream, I backed out totally, and I pulled out because I didn't agree with it. And sometimes if you back out, you'll feel like there's a loss there, and you have this fear of missing out. But if it doesn't feel right and doesn't calibrate to your spirit and your beliefs, then pull out and you won't regret it. So it's about saying no more often than you say yes. And then in the short term, it kind of sucks, but in the long term, you look back and you'll be glad you did it. Your intuition is everything. But basically, this guy was recommending some books that were some weird spiritual stuff. I got a friend, Paul Jameson. I call him up and we pray sometimes. And he's like the founder of the Green Industry Podcast, the biggest podcast in the green industry. And we're really good friends. I'll call him once in a while, like, Paul, will you pray with me, bro? Absolutely, Keith. Next thing we're praying, we're talking for like 20 minutes. He told me this interesting thing. This might seem kind of crazy to you, but to me, I'm all over it, right? He's like, I want you to go around your whole house and try to find anything that could be considered occultic, or anything that could be a gateway for negative energies, right? And I want you to take it outside and burn it. And if you can't burn it, throw it in the garbage and get it the hell out of your house. I'm like, what? I don't have anything occultic in my house. I don't even believe in that stuff. I got a cross in my studio with Jesus and in my house. And we just got this new nice one my aunt gave to me. So I went downstairs on my bookshelf, and I love books. I have like hundreds of books. And then I went down to the bottom shelf, and I had these books that my friend I've had for years, because I want to be successful so bad. And one was like Ancient Wisdom from the Mystic Masters. This is a great book. I take it out, and they're talking about, so it's disguised as holy or praying, but then you get into it and it was actually borderline occultic. He said, even if it's borderline or something, throw it out and get out of your house. There was this other book we had about Egypt, and I won't get too deep into it, but there's all these sigils and symbols and things that I don't know how to articulate or understand. So I just got rid of all of it and just took it out of my house and threw it all in the garbage. And there was another book, I can't say who, that everything was good on the outside. And I started to read this book and I got to the center of it and I found some really negative stuff that I didn't agree with at all. And I threw that book away too. And so what I'm talking about is go through and clean your house. Clean up. Who's this? Sandy Draper says, don't you just love it when you're doing a walkthrough? Yeah, that's funny. Yeah. What's up? What's up? Bobby Walker. Bobby Walker is amazing. Yeah. Very nice. You can all see these comments, can't you hear? Yeah. Some people, we have some videos that get hundreds of thousands of views on Facebook. Every video I was uploading was averaging like 50,000 views. And the weird thing is, I talk about service businesses, landscaping, window cleaning, mental head trust stuff. Sometimes I'm on there venting about maybe a super cheap customer and I just can't believe it. And it's, some people think it's annoying, some people like it. But what happened was some of these videos went viral and have got hundreds of thousands, 1, 2, 3, 4 million views on Facebook. If you ever wanted videos to go viral and you're like, what would it be like to finally go viral and or even make money off of viral videos? That part's really cool and it's exciting for about a minute. When you have mainstream America and the world at large, I don't know what it's like to get 100 million views, but you better be prepared, and because it's not all it's cracked up to be. I mean, literally thousands of comments of people who don't have any context of what you're talking about because they're not in a service business. They don't deal with deal with what you deal with on a day-to-day, coming in attacking you. I literally have had people come into my comments and they'll say something based off of their paradigm or perception that I didn't even intend or mean or anything in the video. It was just I was having maybe a cocky attitude or cracking a funny joke. And they'll be like, this guy is horrible because of this. But then now you have, 837 people below it come in and comment because something about that comment had triggered their beliefs or they're all of a sudden upset. And now those other people didn't even watch the video in its entirety. And now they're all ganging up on me, but they're really just all ganging up, fighting against some belief that didn't even have anything to do with my video, but it's in my comments based off of what one person thought. These other people just believed it and jumped in without it even like, and this is kind of like scary at large. This is in media all over the place. I got a buddy, Stan. He's got almost 1 million subscribers, and I tell him this stuff. He's like, bro, all comments are good comments, bro. People will say, good, it's controversial. I'm like, I don't know, man. There's people saying stuff. So I would stay up. I had this one video in particular that I'm talking about. How can I say this very carefully? I basically had a customer try to talk me down really low on a price to the point where it was almost disrespectful to me and appalling. Like I couldn't even believe that this customer would even believe that I would do that amount of work for that little amount of money. And I'm always nice and respectful to my customers, but I have gone and made a video about the topic and expressing this, and it's kind of fun. Well, people had misconstrued what I was saying, basically saying, how could this guy be so disrespectful to his customers? He doesn't even deserve to have a business. And like, it's like, I'm not being disrespectful to customers. If you're a contractor, you totally get what I'm saying. And the contractors are eating popcorn watching this. Yeah, I get it. But mainstream America sees this and like, this guy's a horrible like there's still this part of, I believe, people that believe that like contractors are bad and they'll try to rip you off if you let them. But what I'm seeing is like, that's a very tiny, small percentage. Most people are good and have good intentions, but there's also a small percentage of customers who maybe they're so on guard that they think that they're automatically got their, fists up. But there's also a percentage of customers. If you study Ken Wilber in his book Cosmic Consciousness, check this out. You want to go down the rabbit hole. The integrated model of consciousness is that everyone's right from their perspective. And if you can see that, like if you look at a beach ball and you only have one piece of data, you can extrapolate what's going on all the way around it and rotate it. You can see that from some perspective, there's a tiny percentage of truth down a certain line. So to sum up what I'm saying, if you want to get viral videos on the internet, it's not all it's cracked up to be. Let me see what else we got here. Nice. Oh, good for you, bro. Service industry secrets for success. That's super catchy. I want to check that out. You are going to leave your job and start a landscape company on January 13th. Friday the 13th. You can totally do it. And it'll grow quick. It's a perfect time to start a business and go full time, by the way. That's awesome. The guy who went to the gym for 5 minutes a day. Exactly. Atomic Habits. He talked about if you go to the gym, you want to set really low goals and then train the subconscious mind, because neurons that fire together wire together. If you study neuroscience, and if you can, like Stephen R. Covey says in 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, if you're in a trench and it's like trickle flow flood, if you're in a flood, take a shovel every once in a while, even if you feel like you don't have the time, and just dig one scoop in a different direction. And if you keep doing that consistently, little by little, you're going to actually carve a little trench where a trickle is going to start. And that trickle will eventually turn into a flow. And then before you know it, because of momentum, like we talked about, it'll turn into a flood. And then you have multiple streams, continuity, multiple streams of income, friendships, relationships, multiple streams of abundance flowing into your life. But another important thing on the reciprocal of that is you want constraints. Constraints are the best thing that you can have, which is saying no, getting rid of too many opportunities in your life. Like if you're crazy and you're trying to get involved in like 20 different businesses, or if like I watched this HBO series with Mark Wahlberg, he's involved in like 8 different businesses, yet he's at a state of wealth and makes so many tens of millions of dollars per movie that he films, that he has a team of people that are high level leveraged entrepreneurs that come to him with like really good deals, and all he has to do is just be the influencer, and everybody else is doing all of the, he's not managing people, he's not like Myron Golden says, he's not doing the implementation, he's not doing any of it, he's just purely an imagination. He's an investor quadrant status. And if you read Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow quadrant, you got employees, self-employed, B-type business owners, and I-type investors. That's an S for self-employed. So if you have an I-type investor, that means their money truly makes money. If you take this pyramid and you take this quadrant, you put them together, you can actually draw lines where they cross. Employees are in implementation, self-employed people are in unification, B-type business owners are in communication, and I-type investors are in imagination, hopefully. These are on totally different lines of intelligence, because there's lines, levels, states, and stages of intelligence. But if you want to grow a line of intelligence, you got to revisit the state of consciousness over and over and over and over in 5 minutes a day, like we talk about in Atomic Habits. So if you go to the gym for just 5 minutes a day and you get into that state and you get fully immersed in that state, but just for a little bit, neurons that fire together, wire together. So if you do that over and over and over and trickle flow flood, eventually you're going to start to cross a chasm and build a bridge where there was no bridge before. And then you get to the point where you're crawling, you're walking, then you're running, and then you're flying. But it takes time. And that's a good thing, because if we manifested everything we thought immediately just upon thinking, that would be a really, really bad thing. At this stage of evolution, being a spiritual being in a physical body, if you manifested whatever, we're not mature enough that's why we're in a physical body. We're born through the womb into this 3rd density reality, because if we were in like 7th or 8th density, which I don't even know how to quantify that yet, that's why we're here right now. we're at this point in our evolution. So I hope all that makes sense. A group buy in and make a conference call. Nice. Do you do that too? You skip lunch and eat in the truck on the road to the next job? I never understood. Oh, by the way, real quick, Black Friday special, go to keithkalfas.com, 60% off my entire suite of online courses. keithkalfas.com, it'll be the first thing you see, called the Entrepreneur Bundle Black Friday sale. All right, so, excuse me. So when I started my landscape business, I was vindictive and I was vengeful and angry, which basically meant me and the guys, we would leave the job site, so dumb, and go to like a diner or Jimmy John's, and we would sit down and eat lunch because I had earned it. And it was July and they needed a break. We needed a break. Anyway, it was so stupid and costly. Fast forward, I'm literally packing a lunch every day. And if I don't pack a lunch, I'm grabbing a carry out and eating it in my truck or eating it on the way to the next job site. And I'm the boss. Why don't I go sit down and eat some food? It's because I'm like, every single minute counts. And if I can like get to this next quote that much faster, then everything is faster. Why would I waste time sitting inside of some restaurant during work hours? I love that you skip lunch. Because I hear these stories about how guy's got $1 million business and he's packing peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Why would he do that? Good question. I agree. I agree again. Neville Goddard. Exactly. So when I pay attention to Neville Goddard's content, there's this guy named Joseph Rodriguez on YouTube, and he does like book reports and he has mind maps, and he'll take like really good books like Neville Goddard books and he'll break it down in a mind map and do like a book review, and he'll draw it out the points and like discuss them. It's amazing. It's really soothing to listen to as well. He talks about Neville Goddard all the time. Now you could be like, if you listen to Neville Goddard or read his books, you might be like, if you don't have the discernment, I'm not saying that I do yet, but is this guy in the occult? Why is he talking about imagination and abundance and all this weird stuff and manifesting and quantum ethereal connections? But my discernment tells me that this guy he really is aligned with, you say, God or the Holy Spirit, because his stuff is so positive and it vibrates so highly that gifts and callings come without repentance. But I believe he's repented, if that makes sense. It does to me. You know, I have to check something real quick. So my very good friend William had to get a hold of me. Okay, I just had to text him back. I really have to, sorry. I'm so incredibly thankful. My friend William, the arborist with the beard, if you've seen him in my videos, he's helping me do the floors in my basement because we had a flood. And God, you don't ever want to have a flood in your basement, even if you do have insurance. And I'm so thankful because I started to do the floors myself and I posted it on Instagram. And he hit me up, hey, I see you're doing your floors. Do you need a hand? I was like, no, I don't want your help, bro. And I really did. Dude, he comes over and he sees the job I'm doing installing my vinyl hardwood floors in the basement. And he's like, bro, I thought I was doing a good job, but I had these little tiny micro, basically everything wasn't pounded into place precisely. It wasn't perfect. And when you do vinyl floors, they have to be perfect, every single piece. And I'm not a flooring guy, I'm a landscaper and I'm a media guy. And I really thought that I was doing it right. And he had to come in and fix my mistakes. And then at some point we were working in the basement yesterday. And so we talk about who, not how, and having other people do it. I was getting like huge quotes to do the floors in my basement, to the point where I so badly was tempted to just throw money at the problem to make it go away and hire a company to come do it. And I was like counting, like doing a cost benefit analysis. And I was like, you know what? We got like, I don't know, 3,500 in materials here. we can bang this out ourselves. So that decision to do it ourselves, I think, is a good decision, because at some point, I talked to my friend who's a coach. His name is Rob. He's taught me so much. He talks about you can get in the bad habit of throwing money at problems. And what it does is you're squandering your resourcefulness. And instead of being resourceful when the time calls, because like this is arcing back and forth, throw money at the problem or be resourceful and solve it yourself. Throw money at the problem and hire ads guys that will just literally piss away thousands of dollars and not get you results, or bring your ads and marketing and advertising in-house where you can control the needle movers and be very careful about the way the money is spent, instead of like Saturday morning, bro, the cap was $800. You blew $2,500 of my money. And the ads guy's like, oh, I'm sorry. You're not getting me results. You have like 15 other clients you're spread too thin and you're not getting me results. You're blowing all my money. Do you want to put that in-house or throw money at the problem or make the problem worse? Whoa, Neville teaches one's gain through another, one's death, and speaking to the dead. Woo! I had no idea. Thanks for posting that and letting me know. That's crazy. I want to look into that and verify that. I'm glad that you brought that up, because 10 minutes ago I was saying this guy's awesome. So I follow this guy, Isaiah. Well, I'm not laughing at him. I'm just like, sometimes when I laugh, I do it in inappropriate times. It's not that I think something is funny. It's just like almost shocking to me. My grandmother, this just came up, had passed away 2 weeks ago, and I went to her funeral. And the whole time to the funeral, I'm driving with my wife. My whole family's already there, and I just felt nervous. I didn't want to talk to my wife. I just felt this uneasiness, and I wasn't aware that I was pushing down emotions. And so we pull up at the funeral home, and we walk in, and I didn't mean to be rude or anything, but I just walked past everybody in my family, didn't say hi to anybody. I walked right into the room where, the casket and ceremony was, walked right up to the casket where my grandmother was, and they got that thing that you like can kneel down on, and I dropped, and I just kneeled down and just started bawling my eyes out, like sobbing uncontrollably, and it was like, it wasn't that loud, but I mean, I was sobbing, full out, healthy cry. But the craziest thing, the tears were tears of pure gratitude. I had no idea that I was going to cry. I didn't even know that those emotions were going to come out like that. But one thing I learned is that when you want to cry like that, don't hold them back. Let it out. And my tears were like, oh my God, thank you, Grandma, for everything you did. We wouldn't be here. Thank you for letting both of my sisters come and live with you at different times, letting my cousin come and live with you, letting me come and live with you. My grandma gave her heart and gave it to us repeatedly her whole life and held our whole family together. I hope your grandma does that too. And then passed away. It was just, everything hits home. And I think that when you go to a funeral, it makes you, especially somebody you love, obviously, what it does is it opens up your receptors and you become extremely receptive to unconditional love, the love that you have for others, and the love that you've been given unconditionally in your life. And there's only certain people that love you unconditionally no matter what. They don't care about your behavior. They love you. And that sticks with you your whole life, and it teaches you something. And I just felt like sharing that real quick. How do I work out or meditate for my mental well-being? It was a sunny day out today. I went out in the backyard and I got just this little lawn chair. I sat in the sun and I just took my shirt off and I sat there. My little dog follows me everywhere. And I just breathed in gratitude. And I sat there for 15 minutes in the sun meditating. And then I do push-ups every day. I do 21 push-ups several times a day. And I do I walk my dogs around the block, and then I like go to Planet Fitness, and we got like an elliptical in the basement. And this winter, I'm going to ramp up my workouts. I just work out a little tiny bit, but I'm going to work out a lot this winter. I watched this documentary, like I said, with Mark Wahlberg, and this guy gets up at 2:30 in the morning, and he's like an animal. And I think it would, without getting obsessed, it'd be fun to be at that level. What's up? What up, though? Get my 7 courses for the price of 1. Oh yeah, I have ads floating around on Facebook and on Instagram. Get 7 courses for the price of 1. Keith Kalfas, Black Friday, 60% off, keithkalfas.com. Entrepreneur bundle. Yes, sir. Ooh. Check out Journey of a New Entrepreneur, Bobby Walker. Type his name into YouTube, and you will find amazing content. Bobby has been on an amazing journey. Bobby, come fly out to Michigan to my studio, and we'll do a long interview series on the podcast, and we'll chop it up and put it all over Instagram, just like I did last year with Dan Plata. Bro, that was so powerful. We talked about finances and all that. You're next. Come. My office is 13854 Lakeside Circle, suite number 256, Sterling Heights, Michigan, 48313. I'll see you here. Nice. Thank you there. Wow. Chris Davies. Congratulations, bro. It's amazing, isn't it? Good for you. You'll take me for a skydive? I've wanted to go skydiving my whole life. Like, I want to go skydiving so bad. This sounds kind of like weird and morbid, that like it's worth the risk to me because it sounds so fun. I saw this video on Facebook Reels where the guy's parachute didn't open. He started spinning uncontrollably, and then something like 1,000 feet before he hits the ground, or I don't know, he was able to get it done, and the parachute popped back open in just enough time for him to land pretty hard but not get hurt. It was like one more second, it would have just crushed him. And that made me not want to go skydiving. Ooh, Steve DeHaan. We got to get Steve DeHaan here as well to do a whole podcast interview series and tour of his business. This guy will teach you so much stuff. Yeah, hello, what's up? Pasco Lawn Care. William. 1999. How do I plan on getting to the B or I side of the cash flow quadrant? Right here. Well, Kiyosaki talks about how it's a transformation in your consciousness to go from an employee or self-employed to B-type business owner or I-type investor. He says that employees and self-employed people are stuck in the time for money trap, and they trade time for money. But when they move over to the B, which is systems run their business, which means that a B-type business owner can leave his business for 6 months and it'll make more money while he's gone. It'll keep growing. It's it's a flywheel. And an I-type investor, their money makes their money. I don't know. I'm trying. I'm saving up for my first piece of real estate or Airbnb. I'm putting money into like Tesla and Apple and Amazon. I have some gold and silver and some crypto, and I have 21 different streams of income that come in. Some of them are residual, but none of them are purely passive yet. But I did get sick. I was sick for like a week and a half, and I actually made more money while I was sick because I have multiple streams of income. And that was like a true indicator that at least I'm getting there, but I don't know. It's going to take, here's my fear. And this is a very important thing to say. Many of you might share this with me. I look at people that have become wealthy. You know that guy Kagan, Noah Kagan or something? He's on YouTube and he interviews all these super wealthy people and says, how did you get there? Was it worth it? I'm terrified. I don't want to sell my soul for money, and I don't want to sell my soul for some huge business that I hate and end up being a rich, miserable millionaire who has all this financial security, but is completely bankrupt emotionally, spiritually, relationships, horrible health. It's not worth it. So it's like the alignment and calibration has to be right. And it really is true after you pass like 80 grand a year, so more money doesn't make you more happy. I know I've made more money than I've ever made in my life in the past few years. I'm not a millionaire, but it's like I finally got over that hump. And I'm not any happier. And now it's all about passion and purpose and mission and mandate and what makes you truly happy and what is a calling. Although if you get rid of everything I just said, put it in its own like jurisdiction, you look on the other side, there are people who build businesses and invest in things that are just structures that they don't have any emotional attachment to all. It just flows on cash flow. It's just a structure. It's outside of their interior space and they see it as that. So that's the next paradigm shift. And I'm taking some quantum coaching by a guy named Chris Duncan. Phenomenal shit, dude. Changed my life. I don't even want to get into it. And he talks about stuff like that. He goes, it's a structure. It's just a structure. So if you grew up poor, you're messed up in the head, and money actually triggers all these things. Like imagine your chest has all these buttons and wires all over it, and the subject of money and making money and selling things pushes these buttons and makes you respond in this way that makes you think about a list of positive and negative emotions. What if you ripped all the wires out of all of the buttons and nothing happens anymore? And then you just see money as like energy and business. Like that next level is, and I think the highest level of evolution is contributions. And when you're just giving back at a high level, but we talk about rubber meeting the road, it has to be something that's transactional, because the money sustains the message. Or if you have structures that flow you money, I just put this line here, businesses that make you money and stuff that you're not super passionate about, but then you cross this chasm to where you use the money to give back to charities and help homeless people and do all these beautiful things that, like, so if you're clear about that on the outset, then that makes sense too, right? What I'm talking about right now is that stuff that I always dreamed of being able to wrap my head around. And I was so frustrated because I was so trapped in the lower vibrational, totally broken levels, scrambling to pay the rent. You can't think about anything even close to this when you're trying to pay the rent. So if it takes you 2 to 5 years in your landscaping or window cleaning business, you got to go work your ass off to go get your 50, 100, 250, 500,000 in the bank or whatever makes you feel safe and get out of debt. So you can finally take a breath and have some money. Then boom, Maslow's hierarchy of needs kicks in, and all of a sudden now you can afford to you have more options, which opens up this whole dynamic bandwidth to you that was never available before. The dials on the radio station open up, but so do temptations to get into all other types of shit. That go watch the Michael Jordan Bulls documentary. The guy becomes an amazing world-renowned famous basketball player, but now because he's rich and famous, he's getting all these sponsorships and brand deals and opportunities and getting invited to all these parties with all these famous people. And he goes and he starts partying his ass off, and then his actual basketball game just starts failing because he got distracted. So you keep the main thing, right? It's the hardest thing when it gets boring and you have shiny object syndrome. Keith, your climber friend is cool. Does he have a channel? Yeah, that's William. William does have the YouTube channel. It's probably Young Masters Tree Service. I know he's on Instagram. I'm trying to get over there and make another video with him, but he doesn't have a channel right now. You can now listen to the whole thing of what I'm about to say. You can want things for other people more than they want them for themselves. Or William is an actual real badass tree climber, and that's why he doesn't have a big YouTube channel, because he's the real deal, right? If he splits his attention and he's focused on filming and making videos while he's in trees, how do you know this dude isn't gonna like make a mistake when he there's no excuse to make a mistake when you're dropping monster tree branches over people's houses and you've got like a safety as a priority. And if you're paying attention to the drone footage or something, you just, it's a funny space. And I totally think William could pull it off. If he wanted to, dude, he would crush that shit. Anything he puts his mind to, he crushes. But when it comes to something as dangerous as tree service, that's something you got to figure out on a case-by-case basis. What's up? What's up? Oh, isn't this supposed to be a business class? Well, I am talking about a bunch of mental models and a bunch of mindset stuff. So we do have some stuff here. Maybe I digressed. I'm sorry. So here, I can share something with you right now. No, I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to go there. I'm just trying to get through all your comments right now. I'm looking at all the comments. I love what you're saying. All right, guys, we've been on here for over an hour. I hope all is well with you. And I hope you're crushing it. And I hope you had a happy Thanksgiving with your family. I'm going to go get some dinner because I'm straight up starving. What else? Anything else? No, I think that's it. I'm doing a Black Friday sale, keithkalfas.com, 60% off of my entire suite of online courses. It's called the Entrepreneur Bundle. It'll be the first thing you see, and you get all types of specific trainings. And I'm not reading live comments in the courses and going off talking about different stuff. It's hyper specific stuff. So I hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you on the flip flop, dog. Bill Hall, what up?